Welcome back. This is the Cadyshack podcast, episode number 8. So today we've got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about, and we have a special guest, and so we can kind of crack right into it. So a lot of times, just to kick these things off, we want to talk about, maybe what's new, what's happening. Barlos, I'll swing it over to you. Kind of in the world of Cadyshack, awesome partners, even just AWS and all the interactions you've had since the last time we've talked. Like what's going on, what's current for the folks.
Absolutely. So a couple of things, couple announcements. Cadyshack is going to, I think we announced it during the last time, but I'm going to double down on it. We're going to start doing training in Q4 for CADs and for sales teams of our CAD members, and being able to do that quarterly, giving up our tips and tricks and secrets, and then a certification process. One of the reasons why this certification process, I think, is so vital for our business is because there is a difference between a cloud alliance director and someone who worked at a hyperscaler and is now going into cloud alliance director work. And I think that there is definitely a learning curve that has to happen and certain levels that have to be set. And I think having a training process and a certification is going to help that, so we can differentiate who knows what. It's not just I work at a hyperscaler. The next thing is the next 2 events that we have.
Actually, I'll give you a good real world analogy. Awesome people. I interviewed a ton of people that worked with previous past, but most of the time, they had all the answers to the test. To ask any question about the textbook, the people, the network, they had an answer. Ask them how they're going to do this stuff and what steps would you take and how would you operationalize this. And then you immediately realize, whoa, that's where the schoolwork didn't meet like the real world. And so nothing against that, because they wouldn't have had that experience. But that's where kind of the rubber meets the road. And I think for a lot of us, it's one thing to know the APN or know the programs, but then actually how do you do stuff? That's a little different. And that's what we like to talk about.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call it the CAD Academy instead of the CAN Academy. So CAD Academy, I love making up stuff, that. The other 2 things that are happening is we are having, if any SAs are in the SFO area, we are having an event to watch. We're not sponsoring Rolex anything, but we are watching the Rolex Regatta off of the St. Francis Yacht Club's exterior, and we're going to park a 3-story yacht right outside, and we're going to provide great food, mimosas, and drinks, and then we're going to have a racing expert on the boat to talk to us about how these billionaires and their toys kind of work out and what the rules are of the game. And then we're going to go look for whales. So it's going to be kind of whale watching, and there will be a floating trade show going on in the middle of the boat. So if there are any CTOs that are watching this or buyers of Amazon or SAs that work for Amazon, you are the only ones invited on this boat. So reach out to me. We'll get you a ticket. Last thing I just want to talk about real fast before we jump into Orca and their superpower is reInvent. Guys, we are going to start with a reInvent program that's coming up. It's going to be called Femine and Tech. Hear it here first. It's called Femine Tech 2023. We will be giving away a check to Girls That Code. Rachel Scaff, the national head of partner sales, will be presenting that on stage for us. We will have Orca's already a sponsor. We will have so is Laceworks, sorry, Orca and Laceworks. And we will have some, I can't tell you the names yet just because of the contract, but it will come out soon. But we will have some serious queens of hip hop that were at the Grammys singing, and a AWS super celebrity that you never thought you'd ever get to see in person will be there as well. So you heard it here first. We'll also be giving away 5 Women in Tech awards to women that deserve it. And we all know they do. And we will be giving that to them live on stage the second day of reInvent. And it'll be something to watch. So those are my announcements.
Who's the audience for that? Who do we want at that reInvent party? Customers, partners,
Yep.
AWSers. Yeah.
So there will be 600 people invited to this party. 500 of them are going to be invites of customers. We're first going to allow VPs and directors in first, and then afterwards we'll start having all of the other folks that work at customers be able to join. And then 100 AWS folks will be able to join at the event. The tickets will be picked up at our title sponsors, so I can't tell you who they are right now, but they both have booths on the floor, and you'll pick up those tickets there, and it will be magnificent is the only word that I can use. Magnificent.
All I know
Cool.
is you guys know how to throw a party. That's all I know.
Yeah. After the New York party, oh my God, I can't believe that we didn't have Michael Musselman at that one, but that one was amazing.
Yeah, that one was.
I missed it. I was doing my own thing.
Yeah, Ryan Orsi, I got you. All right, let's go.
All right. Well, that being said, I mean, we could probably get into anything else happening at AWS, like in that, but we did want to welcome our guest today, so Maryam from Orca Security, and this is a fun one for me because we are frenemies. We absolutely, as companies, compete, but as CADs and folks in the network, we certainly have to kind of learn from each other, sometimes avoid each other, and in many ways share experiences as well. So, with that, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, like, just to get things started, I think kind of how and when you got to Orca, kind of your experiences as a Cloud Alliance director, and then what you're doing now, and then we can kind of get into more of like what you guys do, and for others on the show that may not know what Orca Security does. But let's just start there.
Who doesn't know what Orca does? I mean,
Lacework customers, of course.
Oh,
I'll keep it clean.
Shots fired! Shots.
You don't know that we're the pioneers of the agentless technology in the space? No?
Sure.
Well, if they don't know now, they know. So yeah, I've been at Orca for a little over 2.5 years now. So I'm the original owner of AWS's partnership, which is pretty exciting.
The OG of AWS.
I'm an OG for sure. Seeing us go through so much. So we got established in 2019. I joined in 2021. We've been around for a little over 4 years now. So seen the evolution a ton. And then shifted a bit. I work both on with the Alliance team and on the marketing side. So I have both angles of that experience. So it's been fun to see things evolve and change and accelerate within the AWS market, like ecosystem, marketplace, all of that.
Very cool. So that being said, yeah, tell a little bit about Orca. Certainly pioneers in that area. I give that hands off to you guys. So yeah, like tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, so we are the pioneers of the agentless technology for cloud security. And so we provide 100% visibility into your entire cloud estate, so multi-cloud estate. And we help you get full visibility into what's going on, including your vulnerabilities, your malware, your PII, and we visually help you contextualize everything that's happening. So we provide context around the alerts that you are getting. So that's essentially what we do, and we're constantly pioneers of different features and thinking about what cloud security means for the industry and the space. So we did have different features that we released that we were first to market with, like API security, our CDR capabilities, attack paths. We recently just announced cloud to dev. So we're constantly innovating at the forefront of technology as far as cloud security. And we are super tight at the hip with AWS specifically, because we are constantly working with them on new features, new releases, and helping their customers get better value and increasing the time to value that they're getting from the services that they're already leveraging with AWS.
Excellent. So can you tell me real fast, what services do you leverage from AWS? Like what is the AWS infrastructure that Orca kind of goes hand in hand with?
Yeah, so I mean, the one that comes to mind really easily is guard duty. We totally help enhance what you're already getting. So you're putting the data in there, you're already connected. And so when you add Orca in, you get more out of your guard duty service. And so it helps you actually grow that service. It when you add Orca in, it increases your service adoption and helps you get more from what you're already doing within AWS. But we also work with EKS, where like EBS, we are just now working with Amazon Bedrock and embedding that in the background. So we were the first to market with ChatGPT as far as our open AI capabilities. And so we're also now working with Amazon Bedrock and also with our friends at Google.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you're saying AI?
I am.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
even better.
Oh my
Generative
gosh.
AI.
Generative AI. That's AWS's favorite
I was
word.
waiting for you to hashtag it. Be like hashtag AI.
Generative AI. Got it. Yeah. Generative. So that is the biggest buzzword for AWS. Have you guys gotten a lot of traction with AWS for the generative AI, or how much does AWS actually know that you're doing of this? Is this something that they're all in on, or are you guys pushing?
We're working together with them now. I mean, we were first with OpenAI and ChatGPT. They were the first to market with that. So we were the first to integrate with their tool. But now we are integrating with all of the cloud tools, including Bedrock. And we have that capability for if the customer wants to leverage our AI capabilities, they can choose which cloud partners backend platform that they leverage. And so we're also working on building new features and new services on top of that, and working with the Bedrock team to do so. So I think it's pretty, I know it's like everyone's talking about AI, like what does it mean? What does it mean for the customer? Is it just a fancy search like bar? Like what is it? But we are really thinking, we have an R&D team that's constantly thinking about like how can we make the product better and make it easier for the customer. So working to build more with Bedrock is what I would say, but we are already integrating and working with them now.
You're giving me an idea. So SKO
I like
next
You
year,
don't need any more ideas.
SKO of next year.
Yeah.
How about we do a Yabba Dabba Do party for Bedrock? We do a Flintstones party for Bedrock during SKO. Oof, man, I will look so
That's
good in a leopard print muumuu. I'm
Onesie.
telling you. Yeah, onesie. That will be
I'm
awesome.
unfamiliar. Flintstones, I'm unfamiliar with this
Don't
reference. I
act
think
like
I'm too
that.
young to know
Your
what you're
white
talking
hair
about.
tells
Don't
you
try
all.
to act. Don't try to act like you're cooler than
Yeah,
us.
come
Everyone
on.
knows
Yeah.
Flintstones. Get out of
Of
here.
course.
Everyone loves
Right.
Flintstones. Yeah.
So I guess the other thing is like a lot of times, and you know this, the lens at which AWS looks at us is through like co-build, co-market, co-sell. So we've talked exhaustively about that and tactics and whatever. I think, you know, at the end, I'll kind of ask you to like whittle down what you think were the couple things, but you were the first in kind of building this program. So which of the three buckets did you kind of start with? I know near and dear to you now is co-market, and that's an area where we probably can dig into a lot more. But like, where did you guys start with the partnership? As soon as you get into the APN, what did you start doing? Why did you do it? And kind of like how you think about each of these lenses as you've kind of matured the partner program and obviously handed it off to the team that kind of owns the day-to-day now.
Yeah, I think what's super critical when you think about Amazon's partnership and the co-build, co-market, co-sell is your executive buy-in and the vision for what that partner looks like. And our co-founders were always all in with AWS, so they started to think about co-build early on and really wanted to be deeply integrated and working with AWS as a whole. And so that really helped us on the acceleration of the partnership because it was clear the value that customers would get from working with Orca and AWS together. So the better together story was super clear. And so from there, it was, what are the things that we need to do to accelerate us to the next step? Shout out to our very first PDM Dor out in Israel. He is incredible. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of him or worked with him, but he was really clear and super awesome at like putting the path out of like, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. These are the people that are really important for you to talk about. This program, don't even bother. It's a waste of your time. This one actually will make an impact. So we really listened and executed pretty well on what he said. We put incentives in place. We made sure that our comp was net neutral for co-sell. Just getting everybody to learn and work with ACE, getting that visibility out there. I'd say that's still continuously like getting the sellers to understand why and build is a thing that everybody experiences. But once they get it, I think the acceleration just is super clear with ACE. And then on the co-market side was to just really learn what to market, what programs to work with, verticals, campaigns, use cases, things like that really resonate. And just always having the customer-centric arm to your approach with whatever you do with AWS has really helped us accelerate the partnership, and then showing the AWS sellers how much value we add and how when you implement Orca, it increases your spend and it increases the amount of services that customers add on, was pretty like clear. That's why I think we helped accelerate.
Wow. You just gave me another idea. What if we did PDMs of the year for each region?
I would love that, and I would do
Wouldn't that
not.
be amazing if we had like an East PDM, a Central PDM, and a West PDM, and we had our members nominate the top PDM?
Give them an
in each
award
section?
at reInvent at your party.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to know a secret? We share the same PDMs now. So actually, it's pretty easy for us to vote.
That would
Right.
be awesome. I think this will work out really, really well. Yeah, we'll do it. Well, I mean, PDMs can't go to reInvent very often. It's just too much for them to come. But we can.
Their skip
them
levels
in-
are usually there, and maybe
Yeah.
they can accept it on their behalf.
I like that.
Yeah.
skip
Honestly,
level
having the
acceptance.
right having support in the right PDM, and I love that you guys are doing the Cadyshack Academy, and I've worked with other partner leader communities and talked to them about what makes the needle move, and I think it's partnerships as a whole. I've been in partnerships for a while now, different flavors, channel and technology alliance partners. This is my second time launching an AWS partnership, and I think that there's no roadmap out there. There's no book you can read. So it's so important to have guidance and the right PDM or the right community to help you accelerate and learn what to do, when to do it, what's important, what's not, because otherwise you just be drowning.
Message.
Yeah.
Cadyshack. Yeah, thanks for that plug. That's awesome. It's awesome, all of the things that Orca has come up, because I do remember, and no offense, but not this year, but last year in San Francisco, I remember looking over at Orca and going, that's a really cool name. What do they do? Right. So that was the thought. And from going from that to having Orca being part of the ones to watch. Like every time I have a conversation with senior AWS management, Orca is one of them. Laceworks is as well, Michael. So don't get your feelings hurt. But Michael is like the GOAT, right? Sorry, Brett, but Michael is the GOAT. Right. He is, everyone knows Michael.
I learned everything from Brett and you.
Yeah, well, and Michael has such patience, and everyone likes him. Not everyone likes me, and it's awesome to see Michael work a room, because he'll get to go on stage, he'll talk, and the way his mind works, he puts it out there. But the fact that Michael's been doing this for 4 years in Laceworks and built it up from the ground up, and here comes Orca, and you guys have done so much to get to similar levels. And I know Michael helped out Ben back in when Ben was with you guys, but it's so awesome to see that Cadyshack has these kind of masters of the universe and the security of AWS partnerships kind of coming together and working together. You guys have both been sponsors of multiple events of Cadyshack. And people might go, oh, well, aren't they competitors? No, it's not a competition kind of thing. We're all, rising tide rises all ships. The customers can pick where they want to put their money to, and there's enough for all of us to eat. what, 2 point something million AWS customers globally. I don't work there anymore, so I can say these things. And the fact that all of us are all going after this business, I think is phenomenal. I would love to know a little bit more about Maryam, if you can. Tell us a little bit more
You want to know
about.
more about how we won the award for best global security partner of the year? That's not interesting.
I mean, it is interesting. If you
No,
can pin it down to just one thing, that would be great. What would be that
never
one
just
thing?
one thing.
What's
It's
the
never
number one thing? Like, what is the number one thing?
the number one thing of how we won or why we're
Is it
here.
because you have a really cool symbol, the Orca, that my son still goes to
The
sleep with every
Orca,
night?
the
Yeah.
Orca did all the work, really. They just like, submitted the little our little Orca and then we won because that's what they wanted.
Nice.
I would say that it's twofold, actually. I would say obviously product needs to be 100% amazing and just constantly innovating. It needs to work. Like customers need to be happy, need to be retaining that, winning customers. So that's one. Second, I'd give a shout out to our CMO who came in like super hot. She came in and she's like, we need to do more at reInvent. I'm getting this billboard. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm like, well, not us, like her. We both pulled off our first reInvent with the billboard and all that with 3 weeks notice.
Wow.
So I think moving fast and being bold and being out there and making sure we're making the noise and showing up in a bold and big way with the product to back it up is what really helped us accelerate and get there.
That's what we're calling this, the bold and big way, Orca.
The bold and big wave, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. It's been a roller coaster ride, lots of surfing on this wave for me here. But again, this is not my first rodeo on the AWS partnership building. So I was at Amplitude prior to this. Amplitude is a product analytics tool, also in the AWS ecosystem. And I was the technology partner manager there. So working with our adjacent TAP partners for integrated and working with the best of breed stack. Super interesting because there the product wasn't as closely aligned because obviously here, we give you visibility into your cloud estate. There, we help you get more data and like from the product side, learn more about what you're doing with your customers. So then your product will grow, then your AWS instance will grow. So it was a tertiary thing. It wasn't like you immediately saw the value like that. And I think it's just interesting to see and treat the AWS partnership in a different way. Like you cannot treat a partnership like AWS the same as you do a channel partnership, the same as you do a
sister. Amen.
You cannot have like partner source deal as your metric. That's just not going to work. And if you do, then you have a big problem as your leadership. Yeah, that should be part of the metric, but it's not all of the metric that goes into a successful AWS partnership.
Yeah, so I'll review a couple things because we're talking, but you're saying all the things that we've kind of echoed back. And so for a lot of listeners, this might be new for them. But at the beginning, you stressed about executive to company alignment, right? They had to buy into that. Second thing you talked about, we call it superpower, but you knew what you guys built, how it served the customer, and how that was meaningful to AWS or the customer, and you're able to articulate that. The third thing, Barlas kind of fed you into it, but he talks about his word is drag. But he talked about what are some of the other services that when someone uses Orca, what else is that attaching to? I heard GuardDuty, I heard EKS, right? And so those are things too, when you're speaking about that partnership, those are also important. And then obviously, then we got into a bunch of other stuff, but in many ways, you're kind of checking a lot of when we talk to people about how to partner with AWS, what's important. And then my favorite is it's not a channel, right? And I've said that a million times, you just repeated it. And you can't, both from the executive or just even your own goaling, it's really hard to treat them like a channel partner. And I mean, no offense to any of my partners and yours, and we actually share a bunch together, great ones. But it's very different. Their business is very different. The way that they operate is different. The way that they resell and there's financial rewards for them is very different. And AWS is not that way. And I always joke to my teams and my executives, and I say, look, I love our partners, but I could fire one tomorrow, hire another one the next day. But in AWS's world, there's only one AWS. And absolutely, I could take my business to another cloud service provider, but there's only one. And so you just have to think about that and treat that differently. And Barless echoed it. I always say there's more than 1 million customers, and I don't have 1 million customers. You don't have 1 million customers. And so even though we compete, we see each other a lot, the reality is this market's growing really fast. The total addressable market's moving really fast. Security is really hard. And the reality is there's plenty of room for all of us and our 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 other competitors that you and I both compete with. You notice we're all growing, and because the problem is really hard and everyone's got a little bit of technology differentiator, great at this, good at that. And whatever we do is important, but the reality is it's most important working backwards from the customer. And so when you talk about your superpower, the reality is that customer may prioritize something really, really important or have a complete adverse reaction to like what we do in workload security with agents, right? And as an example, that might not be the right fit, or they might not be regulated by PCI or HIPAA or something that requires that. And because of that, you kind of there's always a different solution. And our little differentiation is usually what you want to focus on, but it also creates opportunities for you, opportunities for me, opportunities for all of our competitors as well in those spaces. So yeah, I hope I captured it right, but just to kind of tie it back to words we've used in the past and a lot of the techniques, you're doing all of this because you've done it twice now. Yeah. But if you think about it, like in your own head, if you started at company number 3 next week, you kind of now have this playbook. You started to think about, where do I go first? What do I do second? What do I do third? So no, I think we're on the good path. Sorry, didn't want to disrupt it.
No, it's okay.
I'm we hear the same things from everyone who's done this, who's good at it. They understand there's kind of some mechanics to it.
Yeah, of course, there's definitely a playbook. And one thing to add to that is the marketplace. We've seen a tremendous growth in the marketplace, time to value, the CPPO offers as well, talking about partners. I mean, we are partner first, partner centric. We want to be 100% partner here. So we are more than willing to work with our channel partners, and the fact that they will go through our the marketplace is good for us. And just I set up our marketplace listing. I created the POs from the get-go, and now Dave and team are working on that, and we're accelerating that. So I think seeing us grow at like 300% year-over-year growth consistently has been insane. Obviously, that's one thing, but it's just going to get more because it makes total sense that the whole industry is shifting, and leveraging the marketplace as a tool in your tool stack is also a part of that playbook.
Yes. And we both do cloud security, but it still blows my mind when I hear AWS say that 85% of all IT spend is still not in the cloud, it's public, which means that there's so much that still has to come. And I think that stat blows me away every time I hear it. And it's real. Like we already see AWS, 10, 15-year-old company, the growth of the cloud. And yet when you look at it, you're like, wow, we're in the second inning, third inning of this baseball game. Like that's just incredible.
Let's back up what you just said real fast. We're both in the cloud security space. But I will tell you that AWS salespeople, they will not be able to tell most security companies apart, from CrowdStrike to Orca, from Deepwatch to Laceworks. And I think many of the account managers and a lot of the PDMs watch things like this to understand differentiators and then do a little bit of digging. But I'm so glad that we can have both you guys here to talk about things and be able to kind of really show how this world works and how we can work together, right? Because you guys are still competitors. We're still having a honest and real conversation. We're not talking about accounts. We're not sharing account information, but we are talking about best practices. And it's almost like we're giving, it's Cadyshack. What we do is we help train other CADs, Cloud Alliance directors. And the best way to do that is by sharing knowledge. And even if you guys are competitors, it has nothing to do, it does have a little bit to do with what you guys know and how you know it. But if somebody else is coming up and they're wanting to do the exact same thing, it takes hard work and dedication. So it all comes down to how much you're willing to work, not necessarily the knowledge that you're getting. So I think the knowledge you're getting does add 50% of it, but not all of it. So I'm so glad that we have you guys here. So, you know, hallelujah.
I'd say it's a lot of work. Don't- just, be patient. It's a lot of work. Just keep going.
No shortage of work, and there's no finish line.
No.
It's like Groundhog's Day, the movie. You wake up and you're like, wow, I got to do more stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a new seller here. Hey, there's a new this. Hey, I got a new PDM. Hey, there's a new ISM. Oh, there's an alignment. Oh, they shifted something. Like, never
Well,
ending.
the thing is, they're going to shift something every year. So just, change is inevitable. And the thing is, the good thing is it is a lot of work, but when you put in a lot of work and you're consistent with it, you will see the results. It will come. So that's the difference. Some places with partners, you can spend so much time. You could spend 24/7 doing something with the partner and the ROI won't be there, or you won't see it instantly. But with an AWS partnership, depending on where you spend the time and you figure that out. But if you do spend the time in the right places, you will see the results if you do it right.
Yeah. So I'll ask something, and you don't have to answer this, but like the two big topics I think that are hard because we're all different, and even I struggle with it, is like that when you and your executives or even just the team, how do you measure success in the partnership? Like, what are the KPIs or the measurements that you're looking at? I've talked about mine, and Brett has, and it's like, how do we know that this is getting better, right? Because if I'm not getting a bunch of source revenue, then what am I getting? And so how do you guys reframe that? How is that kind of part of the talk track?
We do get source revenue, which is great. And that is lovely to see. But it's not the only metric. So I think the brand and the visibility and attaching to AWS is huge for us. Being a part of major launches, major builds is pretty big for us. Showing up in a major way with all of the summits and the flagship event like Reinforce and Reinvent is a big focus. Those are tier 1 events. We spend a ton of effort and dollars around that. So being there is important. Being part of these AWS campaigns, getting leads in that we then track the conversion into pipeline generated. So it may not be necessarily like an AO, like a partner sourced metric. That's part of it, but it's also how much dollars are we getting for MDF to spend? How much are we actually doing? What kind of campaigns are we part of? How many leads are we getting? How are they converting? And then also, are we a part of the major new services and launches? Because we're constantly evolving this partnership. There will be constant services that they're launching and they're adding on to. So it's, again, we are the innovators and want to be on the forefront of cloud security. So having that partnership continuously evolve and having build KPIs, lead KPIs, AO KPIs, I think it's a bit of all of it.
Yeah, that hits all three buckets, right? The best partners for AWS are the ones that are like leaned in. And so all of those hit co-sell, co-build, co-market, right? And anyone who's listening is picking up, like it may not be like the measurement, but you did demonstrate all of those things. And it's true, you'll notice like probably in the last 3 product launches, I think you, me, like we all are the ones that are like leading and being part of all of these launches, like built in, like Security Lake, like a lot of these things, right? And we're not doing it because we're just trying to appeal to AWS. I think like our customers want this too, right? So if there's an integration with our services and guard duty or something else, like deploying this stuff and making it talk to each other faster, easier through a cloud formation template, that makes a lot of sense. There's not a whole lot of didn't make sense to me. And usually when AWS comes to a partner with, the ability, hey, this is kind of early, are you curious, interested? We're going to have a launch at reInvent, Reinforce, something around this. It's usually pretty thought out. Like a lot of times their customers have been asking them to help solve this problem. And they've written their narrative. They've passed all the kind of what they were thinking about. And then they're like, all right, in order to do this, we're going to need what we have to do. And then we're going to need partners to kind of lean in. And that's another way, much like marketplace is the key to the go-to-market heart. I think in many ways, this co-build stuff is absolutely gateways into the service teams and another team that has a lot of power and influence at AWS.
But I will say, if you don't have executive buy-in, you don't have product on your side, that is a huge miss, because that is tough. Sometimes you hurry up, not sometimes, most times it's a hurry up and wait game. So they'll give you what you need to build. You have to wait on them, and then they expect you to turn things around quickly. And so I always say, hey guys, reInvent's coming up, just pocket out like a good 5 to 10% of whatever time it is. This will probably come quick. So I think having that visibility and communication, and having a product team that's leaned in to be able to do that and understands that, hey, it is annoying, it's going to disrupt other sprint cycles, maybe like push back a feature, but it's important because of the partnership of the brand, of the ecosystem. That's important as well.
Well said. I think one of the other things, Barlas, I'll get you get to it, but if you had to whittle down that whole experience, either at your past company or this company, now you've seen it. And again, repetition kind of builds like a best practice, or you said your playbook. But if you had to just like put 3 big like stakes in the ground, like what were 3 of the most important things that you know, they're like, if I always joke and I say, if I can get in the DeLorean and go back in time and do things differently, you know, these lessons learned. So if I'm a new CAD, or maybe I'm at the, you know, at the bottom of the startup rung and I'm trying to figure out how to climb, you know, the APN ladder, what are 3 things that you've learned that, you know, could help someone out, like focus on this and maybe not some of the other stuff?
Yeah, don't underestimate the power of ACE. Put deals in, clean it out, respond. Just, it's a tactical thing to do, but make sure that co-sell all starts there. So ACE is one huge one. I think you mentioned this at the reinforced panel, operations, like having someone on the operational side to help you. Maybe not if you're like the first person on the team, you need to build it up to get there. And at a startup, you're always competing for resources. So it's a tough thing to be able to get. But I think that having an operational team and resource to help you with a lot of that stuff will help you accelerate and build the relationships that you really need to be doing instead of doing the admin work. So that's another one. And the other one is to the co-build / co-market, what you're co-building, and being able to tell that story through the customer lens, like what are you doing this for? What, like how customers are leveraging you, what are the use cases in the verticals, all of that kind of tie in together for me in one big bucket, just to be able to tell the story to the customer with the better together lens of how you plus AWS work to solve X, Y, and Z. And having that in whatever form, different forms, different ways, constant, out there, multiple things, that those would be the 3 things. So ACE, get your operations together, co-build, but make sure you market it and tell the story through the customer's lens.
Yep, spot on. I genuinely, that joke about ops, doing it all over again, I might have hired someone in ops as my first or second hire for sure, because you don't realize it until you're way further along, and then you're like, wow, I made a bunch of decisions back then that I wouldn't have wanted to do the same way now.
You don't realize it until you are on vacation, having a glass of champagne in Paris at 2 a.m., getting pinged last day of the quarter that you need to be going back home and creating a PO. So, because you're the only one that can do it. And so definitely.
That's job security. Yes, job security is when you're the only one in the company and you know how to build a private offer.
Now there's multiple people that can do it, so it's fine. But absolutely, I think having multi-threaded, having things automated, having someone taking a look at Salesforce and building that out, that's a lot of the foundation. And a lot of times when you're at a startup and you're the one-man show, one-woman show, you're building everything quickly and going. And so you miss a lot of the foundational elements that will help you scale so much faster down the line as you grow. And so you need to be able to pace yourself and work that together in the best way. And if you can get that resource, get it.
All right, guys, we've come to about 40 minutes, which is about a longer version of what we usually do. So I'm glad that we got to this point. Maryam, thank you so much for your time today with us.
Yeah, thank you.
and we'll have this up and for the whole world to see here shortly. And congratulations on all your successes at Orca.
Thank you. Looking
right,
forward
yeah.
to seeing everybody soon,
Yeah.
partying at reInvent.